So what if I told you that the most valuable transformative real estate in Montreal right now isn't some shiny downtown luxury high-rise?
Right.
It's actually a deafening gray concrete parking lot wedged right against a highway.
Oh, yeah.
I really want you to picture this urban gray zone. We're
Yeah.
talking endless flat-roofed warehouses, cracked asphalt, and just this relentless stream of transport trucks right next to the Dakari Expressway.
Yeah, it's the kind of place that was designed exclusively for the combustion engine.
Exactly.
It's an environment you just drive through as fast as legally permitted. It's never a destination you'd actually want to drive to.
Definitely not. But imagine taking every single square inch of that industrial footprint and engineering it into Montreal's most ambitious, inclusive, and green, like city within a city.
Which sounds impossible.
Right. But that radical metamorphosis is our mission for this deep dive. We're looking at a highly detailed analysis titled The Awakening of the Namur Hippodrome District.
Yeah, we pulled this from wikiresidence.ca and infodrone.ca, right?
We did. And we're going to decode exactly how a neighborhood transitions from a forgotten industrial park to this modern carbon-neutral blueprint for the future.
Yeah.
We're going to tear into the blueprints, the financial models, and the fierce zoning battles to uncover the actual mechanics of modern city building.
So, okay, let's unpack this. Because you don't just snap your fingers and turn a petrochemical-stained warehouse lot into some green utopia.
No, you really don't. It requires a massive coordinated catalyst. You're trying to reverse engineer decades of car-centric design here.
Which is no small feat.
Oh, it's monumental.
Yeah.
Means you need this perfect alignment of public will, private capital, and frankly, impeccable timing.
Right.
Because a developer doesn't just wander into a desolate industrial park next to Mount Royal
Yeah.
and decide to start, pouring concrete for luxury eco-towers.
Yeah, they need a reason to be there.
Exactly. There has to be literal groundwork. Our sources pinpoint fall 2025 and early 2026 as the major turning point for the Namur Hippodrome territory. But the real trigger happens just before that, doesn't it?
It does. So the epicenter of this entire district is the site of the former Blue Bonnets Raceway, the old Hippodrome. They're essentially swapping out betting slips for building permits.
Wow.
Yeah, but the catalyst you're referring to arrived in September 2025. That's when the federal, provincial, and municipal governments injected a combined $320 million into the site.
Okay, wait, $320 million. Let's just put that in perspective for a second.
It's a lot of money.
It's insane. You're looking at the GDP of a small island nation, and it's all being spent before a single residential foundation is even poured.
Right.
The sources note this money is strictly for Phase 1 infrastructure, so we're talking water mains, road networks, and public transit integration.
Yeah, it's the invisible scaffolding of a city. The goal here is to eventually support somewhere between 18,500 to 20,000 total planned housing units by 2035.
20,000 units.
Yeah, alongside 14 hectares of parks and ecological corridors. But, and this is the crucial part, none of that vertical density is physically possible until you upgrade the subterranean capacity.
Right, what's underground?
Exactly. A century-old water main built for a logistics warehouse simply cannot handle the morning shower routine of 20,000 new residents.
Okay, let me try to visualize the mechanics of this, because it feels a lot like building a high-end computer to me.
Oh, I like that. How so?
Well, that $320 million public investment is like the city buying and installing a massive state-of-the-art motherboard.
Okay, yeah.
On its own, a motherboard sitting on your desk is totally useless. You can't browse the web, you can't run apps. But it provides the underlying architecture that unlocks the ability to install massive, high-powered software.
Right.
And here, the software is the private real estate development, right?
That's a great analogy. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, we see exactly why that motherboard fundamentally alters the land economics.
How so?
Well, that public money directly opens up the adjacent lands on Ferrier Street. Historically, because of the lack of robust infrastructure, only light industry could survive there.
Wow.
The land simply couldn't support dense human habitation. But by upgrading the water, the transit, and the roads, the city mathematically de-risks the area for private developers.
Oh, so they make it a safe bet.
Exactly. High-density hybrid living spaces suddenly become viable overnight.
It's a definitive end to the car-first era for the district, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
The sources really highlight the planned connection of Cavendish Boulevard, which has been debated for, what, decades?
Yeah, literally decades.
And the creation of entirely new public spaces suspended over the Dakari Expressway. I mean, they're physically bridging the trench that cars created.
Which fundamentally changes the psychological and physical pedestrian experience. You're no longer navigating a hostile arterial road.
Right.
The infrastructure is being engineered to serve the human scale first. It's forcing the vehicles to adapt to the pedestrians rather than the other way around.
Okay, so the motherboard is installed,
Mm-hmm.
the public infrastructure is active. Who actually steps up to build the first major piece of software?
Yeah, who takes the leap?
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting, because it comes from a completely unexpected player. We're looking at a project called Link de la Savane, spearheaded by Olymbec.
Which is a profound strategic pivot for them.
Definitely.
This project, led by the Liadmetzoff family and Derek Stern, represents an estimated $130 to $160 million investment.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's bringing 360 high-end residential units to the Ferry de la Savane sector.
Okay, wait, I need to push back here for a second. For those who don't know the Montreal real estate landscape, Olymbec is a behemoth, sure, but their DNA is industrial.
Oh, 100%.
They're the warehouse guys. You don't just go from pouring flat concrete floors for forklifts to building luxury, community-focused residential homes overnight.
It's a huge jump.
It's an entirely different skill set. So how are they pulling this off without it being a total logistical disaster?
It's a fair skepticism, honestly, but their approach is highly pragmatic. First off, they're mitigating their risk by utilizing their own internal construction division.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, it streamlines the supply chain and keeps the overhead manageable. But more importantly, we have to look at how they make the math work on land that was formerly industrial.
Because it's toxic, right?
Exactly. They're likely utilizing land decontamination subsidies, specifically programs like In-Off Climate.
Okay, break that down for me. How does a subsidy actually change the reality of building on a toxic site?
So industrial soil is often saturated with petrochemicals or heavy metals.
Like decades of trucks leaking oil.
Yeah, and cleaning that up usually destroys a developer's profit margin, rendering the land useless for housing. But the In-Off Climate program essentially absorbs a significant portion of that remediation risk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the government subsidizes the cleanup. That suddenly flips a dead industrial asset into a lucrative residential goldmine.
That's incredible.
Olymbec is just reading the room. This perfectly aligns with the City of Montreal's grand vision to turn underutilized land into dense environments connected to transit, specifically targeting professionals working in the adjacent neighborhood known as the Triangle.
That makes a lot of sense. And the architectural plans are pretty striking, too. They're aiming for delivery in the 2026-2027 horizon.
Which is coming up fast.
Very fast. And they're building a 10 to 12-story tower sitting on a podium-type base.
The podium architecture is a crucial detail here.
How so?
Well, instead of a monolithic block shooting straight up from the sidewalk, you build a wide, street-level base that's the podium that can house retail and integrate smoothly with the pedestrian experience.
Okay, I see.
Then you set the slender residential tower back on top of it. It preserves sightlines, reduces wind tunnels on the street, and allows for sweeping views of the West Island and Mount Royal for the tenants.
Olymbec has already successfully navigated the rezoning phase, shifting the land to mixed use. But I really want to talk about the economic ripple effect of this specific building.
It's massive.
Because we're swapping out a sprawling warehouse that might have had, what, a dozen employees clocking in and out?
Yeah, maybe.
For a vertical neighborhood housing hundreds of people, 2047.
Right, and you're touching on the concept of retail gravity, or induced commercial demand.
Retail gravity, I like that term.
It's fascinating. When you establish a critical mass of residents, say 300-plus doors on a single block, the algorithms used by corporate retailers just light up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it mathematically justifies local services. Suddenly, a grocery chain, a pharmacy, or a daycare realizes there's enough localized capital to sustain a ground floor lease in that podium base.
So the building doesn't just house people, it literally seeds a microeconomy.
Exactly.
Okay, so Olymbec proves the pure economics of this transition can work. They're the anchor. But building a functional city isn't just about corporate economics, right? It's about the social fabric.
It has to be.
And when a developer tries to innovate socially, that is where we see the bureaucratic gears grind to an absolute halt.
Oh, yeah. You're looking right next door, literally on the same street. We have the Stein project at 5255-5275 Ferrier.
Led by the Stein family and Pinnacle Investments, specifically Sandra Stein. The contrast between what sits on that lot right now and what they want to build is just staggering. Currently, it's a 2-story commercial building.
Right.
Our sources note it houses roughly 5 employees. 5. They want to demolish that and erect two 12-story residential complexes with about 360 units, valued between $120 and $150 million.
It's a textbook example of vertical densification.
Yeah.
But the architecture and the budget are honestly secondary to their primary objective here. The Stein project is entirely built around a unique social mission.
This is the detail from the deep dive that really hooked me. They are planning to dedicate an entire floor of this luxury complex to neurodiversity.
Which is exceptionally rare for a private development of this scale.
I've never heard of it being done quite like this.
It's groundbreaking. They're proposing a supervised living environment specifically engineered to help neurodivergent young adults live independently, often for the very first time in their lives.
The impact of that is just profound. I mean, we're not just talking about checking a box for affordable housing here.
No, not at all.
We're talking about highly specialized, supportive infrastructure woven directly into the heart of a premium transit-connected community.
It's integration at its finest.
Exactly. But while Olymbec is clearing hurdles next door, the Stein project has slammed into a massive bureaucratic wall. They're totally stalled in the planning phase.
Yeah. The city still has their specific plot of land zoned strictly for economic activity.
It's crazy.
So despite the acute housing crisis, and despite the land literally right next door being successfully rezoned for residential, the Stein project cannot pull a permit.
Unbelievable.
They're currently contesting this in front of the Office de Consultation Publique de Montreal, the OCPM.
So what does this all mean? Let me frame this zoning fight with a different analogy, because the friction here can seem totally absurd to anyone outside of urban planning.
Go for it.
Imagine you have a brand new smartphone, fully equipped for 5G, and you're ready to download a suite of revolutionary apps.
Okay.
But the city's operating system physically locks you out of installing anything except a 1990s calculator app. The hardware, the $320 million infrastructure is ready for the future, but the regulatory software is stuck in the past.
That captures the bottleneck perfectly. But what's fascinating here is we need to look at why the city is being so stubborn.
Right. They must have a reason.
They do. It's a classic tension between immediate social innovation and long-term municipal regulation. The developer wants to address a housing crisis and provide an innovative social good with the neurodiversity floor.
Which everyone agrees is good.
Exactly. But the city is strictly managing its 2050 urban planning and mobility plan.
But why are they so fiercely protective of economic activity zones? Like, if housing is in such high demand, why not let developers build towers everywhere?
Because a city cannot survive on residential taxes alone.
Oh, I see.
And it cannot function without localized logistics. If a municipality rezones all its light industrial land into lucrative residential towers, it permanently erases the spaces needed for the local economy.
So the mechanics of the city break down.
Exactly. Where do the local plumbers park their fleets? Where are the last-mile delivery hubs for all those packages the new residents are ordering?
Right. Everyone in those 360 units is going to be ordering online.
Exactly. If you push all the economic activity out to the distant suburbs, you actually increase traffic and carbon emissions because all those services have to drive back into the city every single day.
Oh, wow. That's a really good point.
The OCPM is stalling because they're terrified of gentrifying their own supply chain.
That is a fascinating mechanism.
Yeah.
It's this slow, methodical master plan clashing violently with an urgent, immediate housing need.
It really is.
Which brings us to the broader regulatory safety nets. Because with hundreds of millions of dollars in play and developers fighting tooth and nail for zoning, how does this city ensure this Namur Hippodrome district doesn't just mutate into a gentrified playground exclusive to high-income earners?
Well, that is where the city extracts its toll.
Right.
Both the Olymbec and the Stein projects, if they go forward, are subject to Montreal's bylaw for a diverse metropolis, commonly known as the 20-20-20 rule.
And the sources outline this as a very strict mandate. If a developer wants to build these massive, profitable towers, they have to play by the city's inclusion rules.
The mechanism is actually quite aggressive.
How does it work?
It mandates that developers must either include 20% social housing, 20% affordable housing, and 20% family units physically within their projects.
Oh, that's a lot.
Or they're forced to pay a massive compensatory financial contribution directly to the city.
Okay, so how do developers actually underwrite that? Do they just take a massive hit on their profit margins to build the social housing, or do they just, raise the rent on the remaining 40% of the luxury units to subsidize the rest?
It's usually a complex mix of both. But increasingly, developers opt to pay the compensatory fine.
Really? Just pay the fine.
Yeah, it's often mathematically safer to write a multi-million-dollar check to the city's housing fund than to permanently alter the revenue model of the building itself. But either way, the city extracts immense value.
The financial windfall for the borough is just staggering.
Oh, yeah.
If the Stein project gets approved, converting that tiny two-story commercial building into a high-density residential complex increases the borough's property tax revenue tenfold.
10 times the revenue.
10 times the tax revenue generated every single year. Plus, the developers have to pay upfront growth fees.
And those growth fees are exactly how the city intends to fund the public good. The sources emphasize that urban planners are aggressively prioritizing public health here.
Right.
They take the capital extracted from these private developments and use it to execute their vision of tearing up those sprawling concrete parking lots and planting 14 hectares of green spaces.
They're explicitly targeting what urban planners call heat islands.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Because all that concrete absorbs the summer sun and literally bakes the surrounding neighborhood. It drives up energy costs for air conditioning and causes real health issues.
It's a huge problem in modern cities.
So tearing up the asphalt and planting a dense tree canopy isn't just an aesthetic upgrade. It's a vital public health initiative funded by private growth.
Which forces us to reevaluate a fundamental concept. This raises an important question. What actually makes a neighborhood, or a specific building, truly valuable?
Right. How do we define value now?
Well, for the last century, real estate value was determined almost entirely by the physical structure. The square footage, the quality of the materials, the cubic capacity of the warehouse.
But the source material for this deep dive makes a definitive paradigm shift.
It really does.
By observing the evolution of the Ferrier Street axis, it becomes crystal clear that a real estate asset's value no longer lies solely in its structure. It lies in its connectivity.
The building itself is being demoted to just a node in a network.
Exactly.
The true value is the potential to convert static, isolated buildings into dynamic hybrid spaces. You have artist studios bleeding into tech offices, which sit below residential apartments, all of it tied seamlessly to a public transit grid and active green spaces.
It's a living ecosystem.
Yes, and if a building isn't connected to that network, its structural square footage becomes increasingly irrelevant.
Let's bring all these threads together. We're witnessing an incredible, high-stakes metamorphosis along Ferrier Street.
We really are.
We have well over $300 million in combined private investment from Olymbec and the Stein family. And that private software is only being built because it was triggered by a $320 million public motherboard.
It's a delicate, sometimes highly contentious tandem of public infrastructure and private ambition.
They're taking a deafening, isolated, car-dependent gray zone and actively engineering a carbon-neutral, inclusive hub.
Yeah.
And for you, listening to this right now, the reason this matters goes far beyond Montreal real estate. Whether you're walking through London, Tokyo, New York, or a mid-sized city anywhere in the world, the Namur Hippodrome district is a real-time masterclass.
It really is the blueprint.
It's showing us exactly how the cities of the future will have to adapt.
We've reached the physical limits of urban sprawl. We can no longer afford to pave over green fields with endless suburbs.
No, we really can't.
The future of urban planning is entirely about looking inward. It's about looking at an obsolete, petrochemical-stained warehouse district and possessing the engineering and political will to see a multi-generational, deeply connected community.
It's seeing the forest through the concrete. And that brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with.
Oh, okay.
Our sources explicitly proved that the new rule of urban living is that the value of an asset is no longer its structure, but its connectivity. So I want you to take a look around the room you're sitting in right now.
Yeah, look out the window.
Look out the window at your street. Based on its physical and social connectivity to public transit, to green spaces, and to diverse community needs, is the value of the space you're in going up? Or is it already quietly becoming obsolete?
That is a profound metric to judge the spaces we inhabit.
It really is. Thank you for joining us as we explore the blueprints of tomorrow. Keep questioning the systems around you, keep looking for the green beneath the gray, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.